Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. All right, I'm tired of hearing a bunch of amateur baseball fans who want to give their baseball team a new name. It's quite simple. I've got a name that covers the city, the baseball team, the history of this great sports city. Ready? 100 years ago, the Cleveland baseball team won its first World Series. The next year, 1921, the team actually wore a word that had their shirts on it to describe this great win. Their all-star shortstop, Ray Chapman, was hit by a pitch and became the first and only player to die as part of a game. This whole thing is so obvious. There's no other choice. Andy Baskin is here tonight in place of Mary Kay Cabot. Andy, you can use this on your show as long as you credit me every once in a while. Are you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the Cleveland champs. Andy Baskin is here tonight. More Sports and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Thursday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into its 24th consecutive year, soon to be 25th, exclusively seen here on cleveland.com. Andy Baskin here instead of Mary Kay Cabot. Mary Kay will be here Monday and Thursday of next week. Well, what do you think? You don't want the Walleye, you don't want the any name like that, right? Somebody said the Zephyrs. The Zephyrs? How about the Champs? Andy Baskin, your thoughts?
The champs.
The champs.
I think it would work better if we actually had a couple more championships.
Well, I'm going to show you.
Could we be the Cleveland?
I'm going to show you for
Could we be the runners up?
We could be that. We also could show you a picture of the 1921 Cleveland Indians and see what their shirts look like. Brian, look at that. 1921 World Champions. How about that?
All right, I like that. The shirt's very cool, but maybe they could easily be the Cleveland Worlds too.
We are the world.
Maybe. Yeah, let's all hold hands.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
You tied up again? Tied up again with kids' baseball, soccer, lacrosse. What else is going on?
Lacrosse, softball, baseball, you name it. We're doing it. Softball and baseball have been really good, though. I think for our psyche, just to be able to get out of the house and do some stuff, and things outside of shopping and. Just trying to be a part of the world. I think we're all kind of frustrated.
I thought the governor was going to shut it down yesterday. Still may do it, but that's what I thought he was going to do.
I kind of felt like he sounded like us talking to our kids, saying, hey, look, if you don't clean up the room, you can't do anything this weekend. I think he told us we all better clean up our room or else the weekend isn't going to be very fun. He's going to take a lot of things away.
It's unbelievable. 216-575-0403. You can email us during the show at the real Les Levine at gmail.com. Andy Baskin here from 92.3 The Fan. You hear him with Jeff Phelps from 10 until 2, Monday through Friday. I hadn't been there so long. I forgot what you guys do. You still doing talk?
I don't even remember.
You're still doing sports.
Been there so long. I haven't been there since March.
Are you back? You're still not back at the studio?
I'm in this basement doing my show every day.
Wow. Unbelievable. Well, you're doing a great job because the audience can't tell the difference, I don't think. I think you cover it very, very well. All right, big week here coming up. The Cleveland baseball team will open up on Thursday. Andy, I know that you were very adamant about covering the football team in Washington. When you were doing TV sports, I don't believe you ever mentioned that nickname. Is that correct?
I did my best not to. Okay. It may have slipped out every once in a while, but that's all based on me living in Montana and living right outside of a reservation. That's why. Okay,
but tell me how you feel about the way that they're apparently putting pressure on the Indians. Although I heard something today, I thought that the decision was made last year going into the All-Star break that the Indians did whatever they needed to do to stay out of the assistant principal's office. And so they let go of Chief Wahoo, but instead they were not going to have to fight to keep the Indians' name. Now I heard somebody say, well, they may have to change it, but it may not be for 3 or 4 years. Have you been hearing that?
I haven't heard that yet. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm sure the league. I mean, we all know the league talked to the Dolans about it, because we saw what happened with Chief Wahoo. And I also think that, I mean, there is a bipartisan part of this, or bipartisan byproduct is probably the right word. And with all the money that they lost this year, it's not going to hurt the Indians to change their name, is it?
No.
I mean, you talk about new merchandising, new everything,
Yeah,
new look.
They'll make money on it.
I mean, yeah. So, if it helps the Dolans keep the team, if this is really an issue, then go ahead and change the name. On top of everything else, it shouldn't be the reason why they would change the name. They should change the name because if they think it's the right thing to do, then it's the right thing to do. But for a franchise that's not been able to spend money and not be able to keep big name players, it's a way to bring in revenue in a year where there is no revenue.
Well, that's true, but they don't seem to be forcing the Kansas City Chiefs to do anything or the Atlanta Braves to do it. Is this because
or the
Paul
Chicago
Dolan's?
Blackhawks?
What's the problem with that?
What's the problem with the Chicago Blackhawks? Nothing.
Oh, I thought you said White Sox. I thought you said White Sox.
Oh, no. The Blackhawks, and the Blackhawks have done something unusual. Like, they're embracing the Native American culture. If you look at what they put out, the reasons why they want to be the Blackhawks, they'll tell you, and by reading it, you'll see that they want to embrace the history that is the Native American culture in the United States. And while it hasn't been great, it's still a culture that I think we need to recognize. I think we need to understand here in Northeast Ohio how important that Native American culture is. I mean, you can't go into the county without realizing that the Native American heritage that was here before us existed. And I want to make sure that we hang on to what happened.
Yeah, but
history.
You're a hockey guy, so you know better than I. But it seems to me that with the change there's still going to be people in Chicago, Native Americans, who are not happy with anything, right? I mean, you can't get 100% of anything.
No, that's true. That's true of everything, though, isn't it, Les?
Yeah.
You look at the Florida State Seminoles. They made an agreement with the Seminole tribe to be able to try to talk about the traditions and be a part of it, and they figured out a way to coexist in that world. So.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's 100% though.
I don't think it's ever going to be 100%. Do you?
No.
You got Rebels. People from the North aren't going to like the Rebels. You got Yankees. People from the South aren't going to like the Yankees. People will always bring up Notre Dame. It's difficult when you're not talking about an animal or an insect to not find offense in almost any name.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Andy Baskin is here. Andy, this stuff is unbelievable. You and I get a whole bunch of listings of rating, people rating the general managers, rating the running backs and all this stuff. They already have a rating out that has Andrew Berry as the third best GM in the league. How is that I hope that's correct, but how is that possible?
That's possible because you've decided to click on The Athletic and read their story.
Well, that's the story, yeah. Third most votes from the NHL, having the best off season. The Dolphins and Buccaneers are the other ones. Third most votes for the most trustworthy GM in the league. I hope that's correct. I have no idea where it comes from. Other GMs, I would assume.
I would hope so too, and it's also based on the moves that look, on paper, I think it's true. I think he's had a great offseason. I mean, he's won the offseason. If they had a Lombardi for the offseason, you could give it to him. Or give it to the Browns.
Yeah, we've won a lot of years.
Games.
All right, this is an anonymous NFL agent who says, I think Andrew Berry is a great mind. On a personal level, I like him. We have great conversations. I just like the way he deals with people having this football knowledge. High praise for Andrew Berry continues to come in. The Browns are moving forward. That comes from another NFL insider. How do you become an NFL insider? Any idea?
Got to hang out inside the building.
Oh.
I don't know. Or get a couple phone numbers. Maybe sneak into a Zoom call.
Yeah, I guess you're right. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. We'll talk Myles Garrett. We'll talk about some other activity coming up in football. We're going to find out if there will be football. Doesn't look like there's going to be college football the way we know it, but we'll talk about that when we get back with Andy Baskin. Did you know the Ohio Lottery has paid out over $1 billion in winnings over the past 6 months? Well, people are winning in record numbers, and winning is happening every day around the state of Ohio. Play an Ohio Lottery game and play it today. We'll come back in a moment. More Sports and Les Levine continues. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/More Sports and Les Levine. And of course, it's very simple. We come up with the question during the morning. You come up with the answers during the day. We read them at night. What could be easier than that? More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Maurice, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
We had always talked about doing something like this even for my first year in the league, and they always had confidence in me and my abilities, and now that's just confirmation of that with them giving me this extension, and I know I'm just going to do my best to make it worth it for them, but make me and my friends, my family proud. I mean, I feel like with some of the losses we had, I'm talking about with my teammates, some of the guys who are out, including myself, we had the chance to make a run at the playoffs, and I had a chance to solidify myself as top 2 defensive players in the league, and hopefully not be considered number 2. So I have that to prove next year, and we got to show that this talent could come together and win some games, win big games. There's no reservation for me because I kind of like that the history is what it is, because it'll only make it so much sweeter when we turn this thing around and actually start winning big games, winning playoff games, and finally get to that last one. So I'd like to be a part of that. I'd like to lead the pack for that. And so wherever we do that, wherever it starts next year or how many years it takes, I want to lead Cleveland to that promised land.
Andy, when I see or hear Myles Garrett, what I see and hear is not a player that is going to sign a big contract like that and then just loaf for the next 4 or 5 years. This guy, at the end of this contract, I believe that he'll be putting up the numbers and effort that he puts up in year 1.
Yeah, I think when you look at Myles Garrett, you have to ask yourself, did we just give the best player on defense, if not perhaps the best player on the team, the money that he deserves to be here and want to be here and not have to worry about negotiations and not have to worry about restructuring contracts, because you've got a guy that can disrupt on every play. And that's what I think is important about him. It may not be that he gets a sack on every play, but he can disrupt the play if just by the fact that he's on the field alone sometimes, because you're not going to run the play towards him. So I think that's why he's so valuable. I think that's why he's so important. It's unfortunate that he didn't get to play the end of last season because of the suspension, but I think in the big picture, if the Browns can improve the run, it'll be worth, or stopping the run, it'll be worth every penny.
Well, what you didn't mention is the double teaming some of the other teams are going to be doing. It's just adds up all over the place, and I think it makes it more like certain players would want to come here and play with him as a teammate. Now, he talked about other extensions coming up in future years, and of course you have a quarterback to worry about. What about Derrick Henry? Did he set the bar for Nick Chubb over the next several years? Or do you just think that that kind of money doesn't come to a running back?
I don't know what the Browns are going to do. Yeah. Take a look at the extension.
Well, this is Derrick Henry and his contract today, 4 years, guaranteed $50 million. Deal is worth an average of a lot of money, no question about that. So, but the Browns are going to be looking at numbers like that over the next couple of years, which is, by the way, a good thing.
Yeah, I think so too. Jeff and I talked about this today, and it's something I don't think Browns fans want to talk about today. But look at Derrick Henry's numbers. Clearly, they're going to set the standard for the $12.5 million. When you look at Nick Chubb or you look at any of these other guys that might be out there, that's a running back trying to renegotiate. And as you can see right there, those numbers for Nick Chubb will tell you he's worth absolutely as much as Derrick Henry if we just get him in the end zone a couple more times.
Yeah, eight touchdowns for Henry, and 16 and 8 as far as Chubb is concerned. But you know what? The Browns, it seems to me, just have more weapons, and one would think that they don't have to rush up numbers from him in scoring. I think that he'll get what he deserves, and he'll give the Browns another look.
So I think the problem for the Browns now is they're going to have to prioritize these weapons.
Yeah.
And if Baker Mayfield has the season that we think he can have, then he sets the standard for whatever they're going to pay him. And then you've got Myles Garrett on the other side. So now you're left to trying to decide over the next year or 24 months who is the most important, who's the second most important, and who's the third most important when you're talking about having 2 star wide receivers and 2 running backs. So where is Odell Beckham Jr. worth in there? Where is Jarvis Landry worth in there? And then you get into Nick Chubb. And then obviously you talk about Kareem Hunt. And to me, I said to Jeff today, Kareem Hunt is truly the X factor there, because if you want to walk away from one of the wide receivers, you got a guy that can catch the ball out of the flat. So
and make him a wide receiver, and make him a wide receiver. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Hybrid.
But you look and hear some of the names you're talking about. Baker Mayfield doesn't have to have an all-pro year. He just has to have a plus year, because he's got so much weapons, and if he just gets the ball to them, they can do half the work, or more than half the work.
Matt Stafford, is that what he needs to be? Up to Matt Stafford level? I mean, Matt Stafford,
Yeah.
we talk about him being a good quarterback all the time.
Yeah, but he
Where
doesn't
have
get to the
Lions
playoffs.
gone?
Yeah, but he doesn't get to
Yeah.
the playoffs. But I just think the Browns have enough ability around him that if he just plays well and doesn't throw all those interceptions and handles the ball and keeps the drives going, I think the Browns are a nightmare for defensive coordinators around the league this year.
I think the difference for Baker this year is he's got an offensive line, and anything that changes between here and here, if those things change, he's going to have a really good season.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at reallesslevine@gmail.com. Andy Baskin is with us, 92.3 The Fan, along with Jeff Phelps from 10 until 2, Monday through Friday. We'll take a break. We'll come on back in a moment. East, west, and south, that's where you're going to find Northeast Factory Direct. West 140th Street, Lakeland Boulevard, and of course Freeway Drive, that's in Macedonia. Or before you do anything, go to northeastfactorydirect.com. We'll come back in a moment with Andy Baskin. More sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Celebrate Naturestone's 30-year anniversary with a free Naturestone floor. During 2020, we will be giving away 30 free floors to 30 very lucky customers to say thank you for making Naturestone the best concrete flooring solution for garages, basements, and more. Call or visit Naturestone.com today to register to win, and we'll send you a copy of our new buyer's guide absolutely free. There's no purchase necessary. Winners will be chosen monthly. With over 30 million square feet installed for more than 60,000 customers, it's easy to see why I always say it's not just a floor. Wow, it's Naturestone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Time for a How Come Quickie. How come Babe Ruth had 54 home runs in 1920 and he was still a pitcher until somebody figured it out? He actually replaced George Halas in right field for the New York Yankees. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Andy, when I retire, I want to become an NFL insider. You have any phone numbers? Do you have a Rolodex with anything? Because
I got a couple.
Steve Palazzolo of Pro Football Focus is talking. I mean, I know this. I know the Browns on paper don't have a very good linebacking core. Steve is telling me that. I could have saved them a lot of money, told them that without sending them out to training camps.
How much do you think he made for that bit of wisdom? Probably better said, though, they have a young linebacking core, right?
That is true.
On paper, it's the weak spot, but they're young. And you got to give them a chance to play before you're going to rip them apart. Sione Takitaki, Mac Wilson. So we'll see. Those guys are young. And sometimes young players play great, and sometimes they play young.
Steve Young was pretty good when he played. Steve Palazzolo went on to say, given the Browns' mild investment at linebacker, they need last year's rookies, Mac Wilson and Sione Takitaki, to take the next step in 2020. With Joe Schobert out of the equation, the Browns, both linebackers, mature quickly in order to shore up the middle of the defense. Yeah, I think that's low-hanging fruit to pick on. Cameron Wake, according to some NFL insiders, might be a good fit for the Browns. We've heard a lot of names, Andy. We haven't heard much of that one. He's 38 years old. Retirement speculation occurred earlier this offseason, though his agent firmly shut it down. While Wake is by no means an everyday player anymore, he's clearly still a strong situational pass rusher. Never mind the veteran presence that he brings to an unknown circumstance this summer and during the winter. What do you think about Cameron Wake? Is that a name that's come up on Baskin and Phelps?
Let me check. No, his name has not come up on Baskin and Phelps.
Okay.
Well, they do need someone. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with bringing in a guy like that, but if you're going to go out and draft Jacob Phillips and you've got two young linebackers, you might as well let them play and get their reps so they're not young anymore.
Doesn't it seem kind of awkward or off a little bit that you're going to put so much into your defensive line and you know what you have in your defensive backfield, and it looks like they haven't done all that much, although maybe that was by design is in the linebacker spot.
The one thing that I believe throughout this entire offseason, and I've said that linebackers seem to be the weak link in this thing, but the game isn't what we used to think it was. It's not Clay Matthews anymore, right? It's not those guys that we used to.
It's not Ray Nitschke.
It's not Ray Nitschke, right? It's not. Yeah. And so, if you've got teams that are passing the ball way more than they're running the ball, are you better off having four really rock solid guys up front and spending a lot of money on, the Denzel Wards of the world and making sure that your DBs can cover those wide receivers? That's the game that it is now. So
you were talking about,
as much as we want to criticize the team for linebacker, I still think they're young, give them a chance, and don't have the same expectations we had in the 80s for a linebacker today in 2020.
All right, you mentioned Clay Matthews. I assume you're talking about Clay Matthews the second. Clay Matthews the third is
Yes.
still out there. Struggled later in the season last year. Is he kind of a guy that still has enough in him to help where they need him? Not to start. He can't start anymore. But I just think it's a great psychological move for the fans also who need some help. But here's a guy I think can still help this team.
Is it as psychological as Chris Spielman when the team first came back?
Well, there was so much excitement about a new team at the time that Spielman just made all kinds of sense you thought he could still play football. Obviously, unfortunately, he got hurt in the first, I believe it was the first exhibition game. But, you still see his name out there at the
Rock.
At the Rock out at Berea. I wonder if many of the team members know that or who that's for.
I don't know. I would think that if they were either Ohio State, Michigan, or Detroit Lion fans at some point in their life, they might know who he was.
216-575-0403. Andy Baskin is with us. You can explore your interests and find a program that puts you on a way to a bright future from Tri-C. Tri-C offers more than 1,000 courses and over 1,400 career and technical programs. Go to tri-c.edu for more information. Andy and I return in a moment. We'll talk some baseball when we get back. More sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
Well, hello everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Brown's Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get texts sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. And it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
This date in sports history, 1941 at League Park in Cleveland, Joe DiMaggio would hit in his 56th straight game, and that would come to an end. That streak would come to an end the next night at Municipal Stadium. Andy, I was looking up, here's birthdays for today. Shoeless Joe, seen on the left. Jimmy Johnson, that's the coach. Married with children, born on this date. Barry Sanders, Timofey Mozgov, and Paris Campbell, all born on the 16th of July. 216-575-0403. I was looking at the box scores of those games with DiMaggio. They had a Friday night game, a Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday game. The one that put him right at 56 straight They had 16,000 people there at League Park. Then they go for a Saturday night, and going for 57, he got stopped by a couple of nice plays by Ken Keltner, the third baseman of the Indians. They had 67,000 there that night in a game at Municipal Stadium. And then the Sunday, they go back. Now, DiMaggio's already been stopped. They go back to League Park, and they have 16,000 people there. So it's not like
what was capacity at League Park?
I believe 21 to 22. You ever
So
go
still,
there?
you're more than.
You ever
I've been there. You know, my dad tells a great story of being a kid, and he used to tell a story about how my grandfather used to take my dad every once in a while. They'd go places, and my dad was a huge Indians fan, and and they went down to League Park on a day where the team was out of town, and they were walking around, and I don't know how it happened, but my grandfather must have asked somebody or slipped a dollar bill or two to somebody and said, "Hey, can I take my kid into the clubhouse and look?" And my dad used to tell me while he was still alive, he'd be like, the thing he'll never forget was staring at Bob Feller's jersey, his home jersey, which must have been sitting in the locker, and just like, I felt like I was there when my dad would tell the story, because it was just, I think the thing that we forget sometimes when we get older, and Les, you and I are probably, just immune to it, is all the little things that people can see and appreciate in athletics that sometimes, that we take for granted. I think about that a lot. And, sometimes just a simple drive by a ballpark or drive by a stadium can bring back so many memories for people. And I think you start realizing that now when you're, sequestered in your own home.
Yeah, my grandfather lived on Lexington at 71st Street. It would have been a deep center field fly ball from home plate.
Wow.
So, and he was he was a cleaner and a tailor. And when visiting teams would come in, they'd bring their shirts and suits and all that stuff. And my father and his two brothers, you'd have three shirts. It took three. Each one could only lift and just heist one of them at a time to get them to the locker room. But that must have been fun for them. I got to play at League Park probably 4 or 5 times, and I understood the history, and I never stopped enjoying any minute of it. It was tremendous. Well, we're into baseball season, I believe. Number one, do you think it gets through 60 games?
Yeah, I do. I started thinking about that. I was listening to Adam the Bull today, just on my way home, and he was just talking about watching Korean baseball or Japanese baseball or any other league that continues to go, and they figured out a way to make it work. And remember, Korea was going to stop playing if anybody got it. So they figured out a way. Now the numbers don't seem to be spiked, didn't spike there the way they're spiking here right now. So that might be a thing. And, we keep asking, is it going to make it? Are we going to make it through a season? I don't even know why we even asked the question. Let's try to be positive. And, if we have to stop, we stop. I think it's horrible if they have to stop, but I think they just they're going to have to press through and finish what they start.
Right. And from the game itself, when you think about it, I don't want to be so jovial and optimistic about this, but because I don't like how this came out, but I'm certainly going to be rooting for them down to the end. But this team is pretty well set up. There's no history to this as to what you need, whether it's starting pitching, relief pitching. I mean, I can't see starters pitching complete games, I wouldn't think. But it looks to me like this Indians team is built for this sprint, not a marathon.
Well, they have the right manager to figure it out. I think we all know that. I think the question, unless I'm curious to hear your answer on this, is, what do you do if you're Terry Francona? And we talked about this with Travis Hafner today, that, Zimmer and Chang have both looked really good over the last couple nights. And just take those two guys in their inter-squad scrimmages and say, if these guys are so hot right now, and maybe they weren't going to be roster players when the season starts, do you take a guy who's hot right now and maybe work it out and let him play for 3 or 4 games?
Yeah,
see if that's still going because they're hot?
It depends on the difference between those guys and the next level. But yeah, I would do things you might not do in spring training in Arizona on this. You got to, Francona told this story the other night on the air, that Francona had a doubleheader 2 years ago, and he had something like a 7-1 lead, and he went through the same progression of going to the closer, to the setup guy, then the closer. and they asked him why he did that when you had a second game coming up. He said, do you know how hard it is to win games in Major League Baseball? When you can win them, you win them. Now, I don't totally agree on that. If it's 7-1, I take my chances and then have my better guys set up for the game 2. But I can see how he feels that way. He's seen it happen a lot of times, and I'm sure now he's going to be more afraid of it.
Yeah, there's something about a 5-run lead or a 4-goal lead. I always look at games like that, and it's just like, man, I wish it was 6.
Yeah.
You know, I wish it was 5 goals. You always wish you had that extra goal or that extra run or that, you know, that 22-point lead instead of a 20-point lead in the NBA. It's just a little bit harder.
Is that a true story in hockey? Is there a difference between 5 and 6 psychologically? Or is that...
for me, here's why. I'll tell you why. When I was a senior at Cleveland Heights, I know, dang old story, high school days, but we were playing Bowling Green at the time, and they were really good. It was early in the season, and we were down 5-0 going into the third period. And Hall of Fame, Cleveland Hall of Famer, John Malloy pulled us aside, going into this tournament in '86 and said, if you guys believe you can win, you can win. There's nothing is able to be overcome. And we came back, we won that game 6-5. We came back and won that championship. It was a Bowling Green Thanksgiving Day tournament. And I've always looked at that. I've looked at that now when I coach kids, and now that I'm back coaching high school again, I always look at that you kind of want that 5th, 6th goal. I don't know why. It's just kind of a weird little thing that's in the back of my mind. And it just stuck. You always want more than a 4-goal lead if you can. It's the same as in baseball where you don't want that. You want that 5th run.
Yeah, so the tying run doesn't come up.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly the same thing.
All right, Buster Olney, an ESPN insider, has been really kind to the Indians in rating them this year. He took a look at first baseman. Freddie Freeman from the Braves, #1, right? I think Freddie opted out, I believe. Pete Alonso of the Mets, and then you've got Anthony Rizzo of the Cubs. And Carlos Santana, who's never been thought of as a defensive player, has really improved himself. He's the 4th best on this list. And then Matt Olson of the Oakland A's is #5. Last year, Carlos Santana had a great year, a career year. He had a .281 batting average, .515 slugging percentage, 34 home runs, 93 RBIs, and 110 runs scored. It's a lot of runs for a guy who doesn't run as well as he does. Career year for Carlos Santana. They could use it again. And they also have to decide his contract is up at the end of this year also.
Les, fair to say he's the most underrated athlete in Cleveland right now? I said that the other day.
Let me think about that. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would.
Yeah.
I mean, you forget he was a catcher for so many years. And I like the fact... Go ahead.
Kareem Hunt could be in that spot only because he didn't get enough games last year.
Yeah, that'll change.
I mean, we all know how good he is, but, it's the same kind of thing.
Well, Carlos Santana, what I like about him and with the setup with the team is you got all 4 of the infielders as switch hitters. And you can mess around with them, do whatever you want. And I like the fact that at least now at the outset that Francisco Lindor is going to be the 3rd batter instead of the 1st. I mean, he's terrific wherever he is, and you can ask him where do you want to play or where should he play, and the answer is anywhere he wants. But I like the fact that he's in the 3rd spot, and you have switch hitters all around him. Creates havoc against the pitchers. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Andy Baskin is with us. You can hear him with Jeff Phelps, 92.3 The Fan. That's Monday through Friday from 10 until 2. We're going to take a break. We'll come back in a moment. More sports and Les Levine continues. We'll go to the Facebook page right after this on cleveland.com.
Your home is your most important investment, and your basement is the go-to part of your home. It's your children's rec room. It's where your family and friends spend time together. It's much more than just a basement. Now is the perfect time to add beauty and value to your home with an authentic Nature Stone basement floor. And every Nature Stone floor comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. For a limited time, get our exclusive mini pearl stone for as low as $2.99 a square foot, plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Let's take a look at our Facebook question of the day, see what you've come up with in response to our question. Who do you think will win the AL Central Division this year? Let's start with Andy Baskin. Andy, who wins the division?
Right now, it's the Twins. That's who the Indians are chasing. Let's see if they can get to 34 wins. 35 wins gets the Indians in. So that's what I'm thinking.
35 wins is, 10 games over 500, right?
Yeah, should be about right. 34, 35 wins.
Right. All right, who do you think is going to win? Tim Gebhardt says Cleveland. Larry Pantages said, since I see Tito on our side and nobody named Tim Kelly, Whitey Herzog, Jim Leland, or Ozzie Guillen on the other dugouts, I'm all for the Cleveland Bluebirds, Blue Jays, or Blue Sox, or Spiders, or the Naps. He'll take anybody. Andy Mees, barring too many key injuries, the Indians should win the division because on paper they have the most balanced roster in the AL Central. They not only have star-studded rotation, but their lineup seems to improve with the additions of Domingo Santana and Cesar Hernandez, plus Franmil Reyes gives Carlos Santana some lineup protection for the middle, albeit abbreviated season. They should make the batting order more formidable than at the beginning of 2019, which was bleak. Aaron Wood says Cleveland will win, I think, but they'll have to get off to a fast start and play well all season long. Glenn Berger says Cleveland. Naturally, I'm biased, but it's going to be a strange season. Anything can happen in those 60 days. Let's go to the phones. Let's bring in BP from Pepper Pike. BP, good evening.
BP.
Hey, BP, how you guys doing?
You got a minion.
Hey, how are you?
I know. No, what's masto?
Okay, continue.
Sure. In English or Yiddish?
English would be fine at a time like this.
You got it. Well, it's great to talk to you both. You guys do, great work. Andy, I don't know how you do it every morning, talking about sports that aren't taking place every night.
It's just what we do.
Still there?
Yep.
Oh, well, you guys are all doing a great job, so I appreciate it. Hopefully and thankfully we're getting to some real games, starting with, baseball this weekend and, the baseball next week and the NBA. But, I love the NBA, and so I'm fascinated with the bubble that the NBA has created here. I want to know what you guys thought of Zion Williamson is leaving the bubble. And then when he's coming back, he's got to be in quarantine back in the bubble for 4 days upon his return. What do you think of all that?
What does he have, a family emergency?
I mean, that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
But they're saying, it's very complicated. If he's out of the bubble for more than a week, he'll be quarantined. He has to take a lot of tests. And
I got news for you. I don't know about Andy, but when I'm reading all about this on the different websites and different newspapers and whatever else I'm picking up, that at this moment the basketball thing almost has no effect on me at all. I'm glad they're playing it or trying to play it. I hope they get it over with, but I have no rooting interest one way or the other. Andy, how about you?
All right, so since the Cavaliers aren't in it, the Cavaliers don't even have the option to have their own mini OTA. I've kind of been disgruntled with the NBA and what they're doing. I think the teams that didn't get to go, they should have just taken the teams that were making the playoffs, and that should have been the end of it.
Right.
I don't know why they invited more teams. That to me is the crazy thing. I think the other part of this is the Zion Williamson thing. If he's got to leave the bubble, you may as just, if you want to look at it like it's the regular season, he's got an injury and he's got to go. And when he comes back and he's able to be cleared by the doctors to play, he'll be cleared by the doctors to play.
What do you think
just
the NBA wants?
Hold those thoughts. hold those thoughts for the rest of everything that we see until there's a vaccine.
What do you think the NBA would like as a matchup? The two LA teams or somebody else here?
I mean, first of all, the two LA teams will meet in the Western Conference Finals,
right?
So they can't meet in the NBA Finals. But yeah, I mean, that's what the NBA is pulling for. I think that will be, even though it will be on like there'll be no fans. I think it's going to be, an epic 7-game series. It'll probably come down to like when the Cavs play the Warriors, who's going to make shots in the end. Like it'll be LeBron or Anthony Davis or Paul George or Kawhi Leonard. It'll be. I'm a huge basketball fan, and I'm just starving for entertainment. So I'll be watching.
I know, but
even though less, you'll still probably be watching, even though you're like, well, I'm not that interested. But I think when the games are on TV at 7 o'clock at night, you'll probably flip it on.
Maybe so. It's just that I think this
Especially
whole thing.
Playoff games, playoffs. I mean, the baseball is coming back, but that's just going to be regular season.
Right.
Where who knows when we'll get to? Hopefully, we'll get to a postseason with baseball, but that's so far away. Who knows if we'll get there?
All right. Correct me if I'm wrong.
The postseason is close.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this whole thing is nothing more than trying to get another ring for LeBron James. Anybody agree or disagree? There's no other reason. There's no other reason to have this sham or facade. Andy, what do you think? All about LeBron or nothing?
I don't think there's any guarantees. I think that one thing we learned about the Cavaliers is when they beat Golden State in 16, Golden State thought they had their toughest match in the Western Conference Finals, and that could happen to LeBron on the other side this time if it's Clippers and Lakers on the Western Conference Finals to match up, which could open the door for Toronto or Milwaukee on the other side. I'm kind of rooting for Toronto a little bit.
I think it's clear to say that the best conditioned athlete out there in the NBA will be LeBron James.
I agree.
I kind of hate to disagree with you, Les, but this is why I'm predicting the LA Clippers to win it, because I think Kawhi Leonard is younger than LeBron, and he's got almost like an assassin's mentality. He's not that, he's like going in there as like a mercenary to go down there for 3 months, win a championship, and get the hell out of there. That's my opinion. That's why I think the LA Clippers will win. And I think they've got more depth. They've got, they've got 9 or 10 really good players, where the Lakers are very top heavy. So, it'll be interesting to see. With this virus, you don't know who. Some guys might get sick, and then they'll have to sit out 2 weeks or 10 days, and that
could be over. Then could be over at that point.
Yeah. So I think it's fascinating. I give Adam Silver a ton of credit for creating this bubble. I know Andy's a big NHL fan. I don't know if the NHL has gone to the extremes that the NBA has gone. I mean, have they? I doubt they could.
No, absolutely they have, but they're just doing it in 2 different sites with Toronto and Vancouver, and Edmonton, and Edmonton, because it took so long. They decided they were going to do this, but they wanted to make sure everything was going to be 100% perfect. Blue Jackets are working out now in Columbus. They know exactly what they're doing. I feel very strong about the NHL, and also the decision to pick 2 Canadian teams. I don't know how the hotspots are going to be up in Canada for the two sites, but I do know that I think they probably took that into consideration to maybe not be in the United States right now.
All right, BP, we got to move on. I got to test Andy to see if he's going to be well enough to do a show in the morning.
Take care, guys, and have a great night.
Thank you. You okay? Do you need to be tested?
No, I'm good for now.
All right. We have the voicemail of Truth and Reason. If you try to get in during the show when we're here from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, if you can't reach us, we've got the voicemail of Truth and Reason. There you see the number 216-200-6650. Leave us a message. We will respond to it as soon as we can. We're coming back one more time. I think we might have some quickies. More sports and less Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Your home is your most important investment, and your garage is the entrance to your home. It's where your kids come in from school. It's where your family and friends gather together. It's much more than just a garage. Now is the perfect time to add beauty and value to your home with an authentic NatureStone garage floor. And every NatureStone floor comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. For a limited time, get our exclusive gray brown blend stone for as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's NatureStone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
At the weekend winter edition tomorrow night with Dave Bacon, Jake Burns and Anthony Castrovintz will join him. That's with Dave Bacon tomorrow from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Please join him for that. I'll be back on Monday. Mary Kay Cabot, first of all, we thank Andy Baskin for filling in for her, but we'll have Mary Kay on Monday and Thursday of next week to make things easy, or even up rather. Tracy in Lakemore says, Andy, I'll ask you before I say what Tracy has to say. I asked the other day if somebody's going to hit 400 in Major League Baseball.
No, I'll say no.
Because?
Well, how many at-bats? I mean, that's the other thing, too. I mean,
well,
somebody might come up once.
Well, that's the point. Tracy says technically nobody will be eligible to win the batting crown this season because nobody will make the 502 plate appearances that are required to do so. Absolutely correct.
So how many at-bats will you need? That's the question. I'm sure they're going to set a standard.
Yeah, I'm not sure about what that is. I also don't have any idea what Aaron Wood is talking about. Oh, his name is Aaron Wood. Hi, this is Aaron Wood from Cuyahoga Falls. Okay, no joke there, right? Okay. What are your expectations for this for the Browns' record this year? And what expectations do you have for the team? I'm not sure where Aaron is going here. I don't know. If I had to make a number up, I'd say 9-7. How about you?
9-7 and in the playoffs with the extra playoff.
You think 9-7 will mathematically make it?
Because of the extra playoff game, yes.
Okay, Mr. Gullible writes in. Now, Mr. Gullible's been on a tear recently. He sends two of them usually. One, he kind of sets me up. And then he zings me to see if I'm paying attention and if I can use it. Sometimes it works. I'm just going to give this to you, and you tell me if I shouldn't have done this. I set it up that you're in for Mary Kay, right? Okay, how come with no home I lost control, and I can't see any escape, so I must need a new keyboard? I need the female Mary Kay point of view on this one. So we'll hold this for Mary Kay. So that's what this is. How come my girlfriend called me a spy, but maybe she meant it differently when she wrote the story in her diary? I have no idea what that means. What does that mean?
I think he just won a beer from one of his friends.
Because he got it by me?
Yeah.
You know, by this time, and by this time of the day, I'm way too tired to figure out whether I should use it or not use it. I really feel that humanity is better than this, that Mr. Gullible really wouldn't try to trick me. He would just send in an honest quickie. And he cheats, too. He steals them. He steals them from books. I don't know where he gets them.
I've got one.
Okay.
I've got one for you.
Let's do it.
In the beginning of the show, you showed a picture of Shoeless Joe Jackson. So I ask you this. How come you know it's Shoeless Joe Jackson when you can only see his face?
You don't know what he's wearing. Yeah, that's a great question. Well, the movie didn't even get it right. They had him batting and fielding the opposite way on Field of Dreams.
Don't let Hollywood ruin a good story.
That's not fair. By the way, I like that they're still trying to get in the game at Dyersville, Iowa.
I do too.
It was supposed to be the Yankees and the White Sox, but it's going to be St. Louis and the White Sox, right?
Yeah, why can't the Yankees go?
Because they're wrong division.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
So they wanted to keep it in the same division. That was a great idea. I'm glad they're doing it. That movie's great, despite the fact they messed up Shoeless Joe. You think he was guilty?
You're very bitter about this. Very bitter.
I'm not sure if he was guilty or not. I know he didn't have any idea what he was signing.
True or false?
I know.
You're more bitter about that or Joel Skinner?
Joel Skinner bothers me to this day. No, Casey Blake, I give him credit. He lasted 10 years and made, I don't know how many years he lasted, but he made $49 million. Now, that's like average. Casey Blake, would you agree, is not much more than an average player?
Casey Blake was a average-ish player. At times could be a little bit better than average. I would say that.
Okay, and he turned it into $49 million. It's very hard for me to have a problem with that. I think, I wish I could have turned mine into 49 cents instead of 49 million. But
I'd be happy for 9 cents.
The Joel Skinner, I'll tell you what, Joel Skinner, and now I'm so upset I forgot the pitcher's name the Indians got from the Yankees. He was a pitching coach in the minor league system for the Indians. Who am I thinking of?
Dick Tidrow.
No, more recent years. Within the last 10, 12 years.
Fred Bean.
No. I can't believe it. But he owes me a steak dinner. I gotta go home and check.
How recently was he here?
Within the last 15.
Dick Pohl.
No. Don't try to get that name through me.
Oh,
I can't believe it. How about Steve? Steve. Yeah, it was Steve. I can't think of his last name. So anyway, we had
Carsey?
Who?
Carsey?
Steve Carsey is exactly right. It only took me 5 names to do it. Steve Carsey was on my show, and it was just before the Super Bowl, and we made a steak dinner bet on it, and I won, and I haven't seen the guy since. See, I even forgot 10 years later. I even forgot who it was.
You didn't forget it was a steak, though. That's
no, Steve Carsey, if you're out there, a steak dinner, you want to send me cash? That's fine. That's fine with me. I don't care. How about...
What kind of steak?
The regular kind.
Chop steak won't be too expensive.
No. He's got money sitting by somewhere. He's probably done this to a whole bunch of people, hasn't paid out, and he's kept the money, and he's saved it all these years. Steve Carsey, a former major league pitcher. What would you guess he made? You could look. I guess I'll look it up when I get home and see what it says.
I can figure it out. Carsey at the time probably made $2 or $3 million a year, maybe. I don't know.
For how many years? He's had to have made $15 million.
I'm gonna look it up.
He had to have made $15 million over his career. So if he did that to me, if he stiffed me, and he stiffed a couple other guys, I mean, he could have kept that same standard of restaurants at all times.
Which kind? The cheesesteak place or the other place?
By the way, Steve Carsey was a really nice man. I feel bad in one respect, ripping him. Now, the Joel Skinner one, I think that what you're referring to is when Kenny Lofton was held up in a game at Fenway Park. It was the ALCS, and Manny Ramirez, the ball came off the sidewall. Manny Ramirez came in, and Joel Skinner was afraid of Manny Ramirez throwing out Kenny at the plate. Now, I got to tell you something. I would take my chances. You have Manny Ramirez on the run in the outfield, picking up the ball barehanded and trying to catch Kenny Lofton. I'd do that 100 times to none. So that's my problem with Joel Skinner. What'd you find there?
Steve Carsey, 11 years, $25 million.
$25 million.
When he was with Oakland in the beginning of his career, he didn't make $1 million. It took him 7 years, 6 years in the bigs.
Poor baby.
To make $1 million.
Poor baby. Tell me what year he was with the Indians, year or years?
99 to 01.
99 to 01. Sounds like 3 years with the Indians. Sounds like right there has got to be a lot of money.
With the Indians alone, he made almost $4 million.
$4 million with the Indians alone, and then he wound up being a coach with the Indians, right? In the farm system.
The Yankees, he made. That's where he made all his money. It's where everybody makes all their money.
I got to tell you something. Enough is enough. It's time for him to fess up and pay up. I thought maybe he had a problem and he didn't. They didn't pay him what they were supposed to be. You're telling me 10 million? How many? 10?
For the Indians alone?
The Indians alone. And I'll tell you one more thing. I will take it at post-recession rates. Whatever a steak dinner would have cost in 2001, I'll take that in cash instead of waiting around for what I deserve.
I think a steak then you probably would have said in '99 you'd be like, ooh, he got a $20 steak.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm an unusually good tipper.
Okay, so
Well,
what,
I'm
you
an
get $5
I'm an
$4
unusual I'm an unusual tipper. I could tell you that. You know something? One day we don't have time to do it. You hear great players get ripped by at restaurants. So go to a restaurant, maybe an out of town restaurant when they're playing, and then some waiter says, "Hey, I got stiffed by so and so." That is totally unfair. There's no way you can work that off and make that full again.
To get rid of that stigma of being a bad tipper?
Yeah, that's a bad stigma. You can never, because even if you go back to the same restaurant, you're probably not getting the same person.
I can tell you who a great tipper is.
Who?
Drew Carey's a great tipper.
Oh, I've heard you tell that story. That's good to hear.
Oh,
But all it takes is one person to be ticked off at Drew Carey if he had a bad day, and he ruins the whole story.
I'm telling you, you want me to tell the story really quick? I got a second or no?
You got a half a minute. Go ahead.
Half a minute. Drew Carey, I was at a restaurant in Newark, New Jersey. I was at the airport. Drew was sitting at a table next to me. I didn't know him at the time. I'm sitting at a table. I had a bag that said Indians on it. I was trying to get him to look at the Indians bag so maybe he would say hi. He didn't. I ended up saying hi to him and said, "Thank you for all the things you do for Cleveland." He had a grilled cheese sandwich. He walked out the door. The waitress walks over. She picks up the check and says, "Oh my God, Drew Carey didn't." And I'm like, "Oh my God, he stiffed her." He left her a $100 tip on a $6 bill.
That is nice. That is
Yes.
nice. I like hearing those stories. But Steve
And the
Carsey,
whole restaurant cheered.
well, listen, they would cheer. I would make a big deal if Steve Carsey would come up shooting like he should, and I'll buy you dinner that night myself, Andy. You and I are going to go.
Let it go. Let it go.
That'll do it for us. Thanks for Andy Baskin. Hear him on 92.3 The Fan. We got weekend winners tomorrow night, and I'll be back with Mary Kay Cabot. That'll be on Monday. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.